Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Monday morning, day after the Super Bowl, special edition of MGR Unplugged. As promised, first of all, you didn't see or listen to our podcast from last Friday. We actually were talking a lot about Super Bowl ads and the business and the math behind the ads, the costs and everything else. And we said that we were going to discuss the ads a little more in depth after the Super Bowl, which is what we're doing this morning. So David is with me. We were both taking serious notes about the ads yesterday, and without any further delay, we're going to start with that. But before that, I wanted to make a couple of comments about this week's Super Bowl. We watched the pregame ceremonies and everything, and obviously this week's Super Bowl had a little different attitude or lead up to the Super Bowl. Obviously, last week or a week ago from today, it was Kobe Bryant's accident and tragic death and all that. So it was a little somber in the beginning. Monday and Tuesday, it looks like people were gathering in Miami, getting to a Super Bowl, but it was still a little bit of all the athletes, obviously, and journalists were remembering facts about Kobe Bryant. I remember on Friday, I was watching the Lakers game, and they had the first home game where they were doing the tribute. So it was a little bit of a contrast between the festivities of the Super Bowl and obviously all the memorials for Kobe Bryant. But anyways, the game was good. It started, I don't think the game per se was that entertainment, at least for the first.
The ending was good. The first half I thought was kind of like a little slow, but I think also I don't have a dog in the fight. I didn't really care who won, so that's why I wasn't super into the game. I think
I don't know. I mean, I thought it was an okay game. It's not so much. I mean, most of the people, unless you're a fan of one team or the other, don't have really much interest on the actual result, other than the spectacle to be nice. And I think the game. I mean, halftime 10-10. It was kind of okay. At that point, I think people were just looking forward to the halftime show to have something that was really more entertaining. Then the third quarter was also nothing special, and then the fourth quarter really lived up to expectations, and that's when things got interesting. So I think the game was okay. I mean,
probably not that interesting for 49ers fans, but
I think on that note, I think we're not a sports show for sure, but I think my opinion is that the 49ers just gave the game away. I mean, I think Kansas City did the right thing, but I think it was more the 49ers just kind of playing 3 quarters instead of 4. So anyways, that's just my opinion. I didn't care, one or the other.
I do want to say on the last episode, I did predict Kansas City winning. I'm glad I was correct.
You were right at the fourth quarter, which is when it counts, so that's important. No, but I mean, the game was okay. We'll probably discuss a little bit of the halftime show. I think it was good too. I mean, people actually liked it. I was just not too much into that, but definitely the halftime show had a lot of Latin flair with Jennifer Lopez and Shakira. One thing that amazes me is that, I mean, Jennifer Lopez is now 50 years old, and Shakira,
is she 50?
She's 50. I know.
Looks good for 50.
I was going to ask you thought, how old do you think is Shakira?
I knew, Shakira, I have no idea, honestly.
Shakira is 43.
Oh, wow.
So here we have, in the halftime of the Super Bowl, 2 professional performers that are, one is 50 and the other one is 43. That tells you so much about the new wave of performers, how, and they actually.
Well, I think it was also because it was in Miami.
Well, yeah, obviously, he had a lot of Latin flair, and obviously, it was Miami, so they had a lot of Hispanic performers and all that, and they did a little bit of a medley of previous songs that made them famous, and which is good because he went fast. The choreography, all these, both of them are very, very good performers, especially on stage with choreography and everything related to their dance and everything and their outfits. And there were lots of comments this morning about shaking booties and all that stuff. But it amazes me how whatever they're doing, they're in great shape. I mean, for 50 years old to be performing like that, I'm just like, I want to do what she's doing, whatever it is she's taking. Obviously, she's taking a lot of things. But no, but it was good. It was a good. Break from like semi-dull action on the actual game, and then like I said, third quarter and fourth quarter finally it started getting a little more interesting. So, all right, so let's get to the commercials, which is the main topic for today. Let me ask you, which ones do you remember?
Okay, so I was gonna say my kind of grading criteria. I was thinking about this. One is like just the entertainment factor, I guess, or interestingness factor. But then the other part is which ones do you remember the next day?
Right, exactly.
And which ones were kind of more original. I think my personal top 3, I was thinking like, okay, which ones were the best? And I have kind of a top 3. I'm not sure exactly which is the best. The Baby Nut, Mr. Peanut thing, because that one was ahead, like for 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, they announced that, Mr. Peanut is dead.
Yeah.
And then they did the Baby Nut, and obviously it kind of was very similar to Baby Yoda, how that's been everywhere. And it was kind of everywhere on social media. So I thought they won with that. Like that was very successful. The Bill Murray Groundhog Day Jeep commercial. People loved that one.
I didn't like it that much.
Really?
I don't know.
I liked it. It was fine. I think because Bill Murray is such a beloved. I think most people like Bill Murray. So having him in the commercial is like, okay, people like him. And they remade Groundhog Day.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one was the, which I think probably is between this and the Baby Nut for me that won the show, which was the Hulu Tom Brady, because of how they set it up.
Yeah, I think the Hulu was the actual commercial itself was not that amazing.
Well,
but the fact that everybody was talking about Tom Brady before the Super
Right.
Bowl with his scripted message, and some people were saying, "Oh, this is like a tribute to Kobe Bryant," or some
Right.
people were saying, "No, this is like a hint that he might be quitting." And he was probably laughing his
Right.
butt off.
If anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, basically a few days before the Super Bowl, Tom Brady posted a picture of himself at the end of one of the tunnels.
Yeah.
And it almost looked like it was all black and white. And he was like, is he retiring? Is he what? And then Hulu ran an ad during the Super Bowl. And, you know, it was like talk shows, radio shows, all talking, oh my gosh, is Tom Brady retiring? Is he leaving the Patriots? What's going on? And then, you know, he did a show for...
And on top of that,
for Hulu.
Tom Brady was at the Super Bowl because
Right,
it was the NFL's 100th anniversary, and they were basically having a lot of quarterbacks and former players and all that stuff. So he
Right.
was there, and but yeah, I think at the end of the day, he had the best laugh because.
I thought that was great because...
But again, it was more of the intrigue about everybody was referring to the cryptic message from
Right, but I
from
think these
Tom
days
Brady.
it's almost more than just the commercial itself. It's the, can you get people talking about you?
Right.
And that's why I thought that one and the Baby Nut were the best.
And when you get people talking about it before even the commercial
Yeah,
airs,
exactly.
so before even people knew about the commercial,
Right.
that's even more. It's very very clever advertising in that way, or more than
Right.
because people, even you and I, were like, oh, that's what the cryptic message
Yeah.
was about, you know. So, I don't think I mean, for me, the Groundhog Day was not. I don't know. I wasn't that impressed by that one. I did like
the reason I give it up there was, one, I think a lot of people were talking about it on social, and two, it was the #1 trending video on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously it was resonating beyond just the Super Bowl itself. And that's why I think ultimately it's like, how much bang for your buck do you get? And if you can get a ton of people talking about you,
Yeah.
that's what matters.
The one that we both liked, and I think that was actually in the first quarter, one of the breaks, was the Rocket Mortgage.
Yeah.
I think that was original.
Yeah.
But,
We're talking about the Jason Momoa,
Yeah.
where he has like these huge arms, and
He
then
comes like all buffed up and everything from work, and then he goes home and he says, the thing that I like is just to relax, and he starts taking his
he's basically
muscles
rips it off, and he's got these skinny little arms. It was
Yeah.
good. It was good.
That was original too. And then we obviously talked Hulu. Then I think that was a third or fourth quarter commercial. The Hyundai, the Smart Park.
Yeah,
With,
that one
with,
too. I didn't put it in my top 3, but that might be my number 4 because that one again also got a lot of people talking on social media. People really like that one. They posted that on YouTube days before the Super Bowl,
Right.
so I had already seen it. But yeah, people really like that one. So it was clever.
Yeah.
Smart park.
It was yeah. I mean, really, the commercial is just obviously the car parking on parking and all that, but it was just the exchange between them that was.
It's interesting too that some advertisers try to just promote their brand, and others will promote like a specific product or feature.
feature of their
So in
brand.
that case, it was the Smart Park, which is like it'll park itself.
Right.
But in the case of like, I don't know, like other brands were just, oh, this is our brand. It's not some specific product or feature. I always wonder which is the better route. Like if you're Hyundai, that's kind of trying to sell that specific car and that feature. Whereas obviously it promotes your brand too. Whereas other ads are just promoting the brand itself. That's kind of an interesting take of like which is the better route.
There's a lot of stuff these days with the kind of autonomous vehicles, some features and all that stuff. And when everybody's talking about self-driving cars and everything, at the end of the day, we don't have those yet. But if you have a car that is parking itself, that's huge help. Especially because you notice they picked like space that were super tight and basically it's very smart. You know, it's not like you parallel park or something. It's just you're squeezing the car. Or the guy where what's his name? Krasinski.
Yeah, John Krasinski.
Yes, Krasinski. Yeah, he gets there and it looks like he's totally off as far as being able to park the car. And then he says, "Fuck it, I'm gonna get off the car." And they just let it park itself, and he does it. And then the exchange between him and Chris Evans and all that stuff. So yeah, that was fun. One that I think we both liked was the Coca-Cola with Scorsese and Jonah Hill.
Yeah, I threw it on the list just because I like Scorsese, so I had to put him on there.
The funny thing is that Scorsese is not known for his. I mean, he's known for his humor, but he's very sarcastic.
Yeah, he has a very
peculiar sense of humor.
Yes.
He almost is funny when he doesn't say anything.
Yeah, he's not a joke teller.
Right, with his gestures, and you expect a comment, and he doesn't make a comment. He's like, "Hey, are you coming? Hey, this or that." And Jonah Hill is like totally passed out, and then he gets the energy drink, the Coke.
I thought the best response I saw from that was I forget who said it. It was someone on Twitter said, "Let's be real. Jonah Hill would always reply right away to Martin Scorsese." You think Jonah Hill would not?
Like the dot on all these TVs and all that stuff. That was funny too. You have the electric Hummer too as one of your favorites.
I like that one because I don't think all ads have to be like entertaining, but if they're memorable and they get the point across, and in that case it was like 1,000 horsepower sounds like this, and it was just silent,
right?
It gets the point across of, okay, we have this big monster humming looking truck, but it's silent
and especially because the Hummer was a very controversial vehicle when it first came out from GM. It was basically a war type vehicle, and then everybody started getting these Hummers, the Hummer 2, the Humvee, whatever, super gas guzzler consumers and obnoxious cars on the road, and now they came with a complete clean version of that car, like reviving it in a different way, So yeah, that was kind of original. Speaking of cars, you didn't like it so much, but I really like.
I thought the Porsche one was fine.
I like, obviously I'm biased. I love Porsche. I raised my Porsche, and but I had not seen the ad, and it was called The Heist, and I think it was a clever commercial too. It was well done.
Clever. It was not bad in any way. I just didn't think it was anything super memorable or special.
It's fine. I mean, they're promoting the Taycan, their latest electric Porsche, which by the way is much better than the Tesla, as opposed to what you say. But that's a whole conversation.
See it get manufactured first.
Right. Okay. But anyways, I thought it was a very classy, well-produced commercial with European roads and bridges and all that, and then all the Porsche lineup, surrounding and like escaping and all that stuff. So I thought it was a nice commercial. I like the cinematography of the commercial too. The production values, like you can tell that it was high quality. So that's one of my top two. You don't have in your top category the Amazon Alexa one. I really like that one with
the before Alexa with Ellen.
Yeah, with Ellen and
it was
Portia de Rossi. I think that was also, it almost. I was reading this morning. Some people thought it was like a SNL skit or something. I don't know. I mean, I think he was very clever when we all kind of keep saying. I mean, say sometimes, what was life before the internet? What was life before this and that? Like, how things have changed so rapidly.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about what were things before Alexa, who's right there, by the way. And it was funny. To me, I was actually laughing during the commercial, which is I think the only one that I laughed about, because I thought it was pretty funny when they had all these medieval people and all that stuff going on there. So I thought that was kind of a cute commercial. That was we were talking in the beginning about which commercials you remember the day after, brand and commercial, because sometimes it's funny you remember the commercial, but you say, who was that commercial for? Which is a mistake. I mean, that's, if you put all this effort, not only do you pay $5.6 million just to get there, and then on top of that production cost and everything else, and then you create this great commercial, and people like the commercial, but then don't remember who was the commercial for. That's actually a big branding mistake. So in this case, because they are talking what was
Well, the
life
product
before.
is so embedded in the commercial.
Right. I thought it was very clever and cute, and it's one of the ones that I definitely remember the day after. So, on
The one that a lot of people talked about that I didn't like, because I'm not a fan of that type of commercial, is the Google Assistant one. A lot of people were talking.
I know.
Oh, I
Everybody's
cried
like,
watching it.
yeah.
I don't like
agree.
commercials that try to
Tear jerkers. Yeah.
You can have a tearjerker. That's not my problem. I'm not a big fan, and they weren't the only one of commercials where they kind of. I feel like they're taking advantage of people and trying to take advantage of some sad story. Like there was another one I forget.
The
who
weather
it was
tech.
for.
The weather tech with the dog that was saved from cancer and all
Mm.
that stuff. That was WeatherTech is a company that I can't even believe that was doing a commercial, because all they do is basically floor mats for for protection your cars and all that stuff. But the story was that they saved their dog with they had cancer or something, and it was obviously people are very attached to their pets, and it was very emotional, but I'm not much into that. It's a very feel-good type commercial. I think the Google one with Loretta or something, like the family, the wife that says, I want you to remember these things, and to me it was kind of sappy, to be honest, but I agree. A lot of people this morning are rating that commercial like one of the best, like saying, okay, this is good. So good for Google. I mean, they had a commercial that was...
I was actually happy on the other big tech company that made an ad, which is Facebook.
Yeah.
That they've done emotional type ads before.
They did one about groups, right? Facebook groups. Is there a group for you or something?
But it was not, it was not emotional whatsoever. It was like a fun, jovial ad. And I was like, I'd rather have the tech companies do something like that, especially because, I don't know. I don't like when they do some sappy thing in favor of like, oh, get our voice assistant so we can steal all your data and listen in on your entire life.
Well, I mean, to be honest, Facebook, with all the controversy going around Facebook, especially now as we approach another election with influencing elections and so forth, I think they were going to do a commercial about, we care for the community, we want fairness, blah, blah, blah. But they didn't. They actually advertised one of their products, which is one of the things that we discussed that they want to boost.
Approach.
Because Facebook is going to, you want to discuss this or talk about it in different on different episodes, but it looks like Facebook is leaning towards boosting their groups. And they probably want more Instagram and everything else to be like more person-to-person interaction, and then they're gonna have Facebook more as a group interaction and that kind of dialogue. So, in that case, it was okay. I mean, there were like all this, we have groups for this, groups for that, for very niche type hobbies or activities, and I thought it was a very okay commercial. I mean, nothing controversial about it. So
yeah, because I think if Facebook went the sappy route, that a lot of people don't like Facebook, and that it would have just been negative. It would have been like,
restoring their image will be almost backfire for them, because
that's what I think.
They've been so many times trying to restore their image with this and that, and then they come back and they keep doing what they're doing. So I think people are a little bit more skeptical about that, and I think in this case, just saying, hey, we can help you. There's a group. You have a group that is whatever. Talk, just create it, set it up. So, all right, there was one startup, I think, Quibi, that was very.
You want to talk about Quibi?
Briefly, I mean, we'll probably discuss that later, but it's a company that is not even yet. I mean,
Quibi
running
is
yet.
The most.
Let's talk about the commercial part.
Well, it's the commercial. The commercial itself was fine. I mean, it was really early in the Super Bowl. It was like early in the first quarter, I think. Yeah. I was like, they were robbing a bank, and then their getaway driver says, I'll be there in a Quibi. Like, they're trying to make that a thing. Because Quibi is basically a streaming platform that lets you watch videos that are 10 minutes or less. He says, I'll be there in a Quibi. And they're like waiting there for him. The commercial. Okay, it was fine. The commercial wasn't bad. It was whatever.
But how many people knew what Quibi is?
I don't think many people knew what Quibi was. And second of all, the fact that they spent $6 million plus production, it was a high value production commercial. It wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
On a commercial, when they're not even launched, you can't even go download the app if you see that. Oh, that's interesting. Let me go download. No, not available.
I know.
What are they thinking? And not only that, this is a company that is so funny. I was thinking about this yesterday because I wanted to talk about it. I was like, this company, if you don't know Quibi, they were started by Jeffrey Katzenberg and I forget her name. She used to be an exec at HP. But basically two execs who have been
Tech guys, yeah.
around the game, and both from media and tech, and they started their own streaming service, and it's all like vertical only videos, no horizontal, and it's all 10 minutes or less. And so, but they have spent a ridiculous amount of money, and they plan to spend a ridiculous amount of money for a startup. No, but not. They took the lean startup methodology and said, what if we just do the complete opposite of that? What if we, in our first year of launch, spend $1 billion with a B on programming and advertising before we even know if anybody's interested yet? The idea of the lean startup is, let's make many versions and iterate with as little budget as possible until we can find something that works and that people like. And especially in streaming, where it's such a gamble to know whether people will like this or not, to say, oh, we're just going to throw all of the money we raised, $1 billion in our first year, and if we fail, oh well. It's baffling. And to spend $6 million on a commercial.
All right, we're getting too much into the startup conversation, and this is more of a commercial.
$6 million when you haven't launched.
I understand.
That's crazy.
Is there money? I told you, I said this last Friday when we were talking about it. I said, I don't understand the economics of commercial advertising for the Super Bowl. I understand the big brands, the Procter & Gamble, which we'll discuss later on, and all these big manufacturers, auto manufacturers, beer companies, all that stuff, spending money doing feel-good commercials or brand commercials or corporate image branding, whatever. They have the money, they have the budget, and it's almost like they have to be there. The smaller brands, I don't understand how they throw their whole marketing budget for the year out the window in one single 30-second spot, which is in return to get the ROI or the return on advertising spend that we talk about. To me, it's just the math doesn't add up. But if they want to say, hey, we were advertising on the Super Bowl and nobody even knows who we are.
Well,
what we do.
I don't know if anybody's throwing their whole budget.
No, like I said, not the whole budget. The big brands are not. For them, it's like a drop in the bucket. But for the smaller brands, startups like this, like you said, spending like maybe $6 million in the ad and in buying the ad space, and then whatever they spent in producing the ad and all the stuff, you can basically say, okay, well, you guys haven't made any penny from revenues yet.
No, they haven't.
And you're already spending $10 million of your investors' money into putting an ad in the Super Bowl when people, like you said, can even monetize that ad and download an app or anything. So I don't understand. I'm maybe I'm too stupid for that, but I like to know how that works. But let's move on with this because we have a long list of commercials. So we have obviously the McDonald's ad was okay. I actually thought it was interesting when they have the different menus for different celebrities. But the trouble is that they start going so fast that I couldn't even see the celebrities that they were promoting. You know, that they were saying, okay, this is that, and so anyways, I thought it was kind of original.
It was fine. I think the message was like, everybody eats McDonald's.
Yeah, like everybody kind of, I don't care if you are like, this type of person, athlete, non-athlete, entertainment, whatever kind of diet you have, everybody, does McDonald's with that kind of menu. But I was trying to, I'm assuming when they decided each tray with the different McDonald's, products, they would do it for a reason, for the person that was the credit, and I was trying to keep up saying, oh, that's, but it was just very hard. So, but I think it was kind of original. Nothing else. I mean, McDonald's is such.
Were there any ads that you really didn't like the ads that you thought were just bad?
Well, I think the Verizon 5G. To me, that was confusing because they are kind of advertising 5G like it's going to make everything so much better and faster and everything else for the network. But then they have all these first responders and all this kind of tribute to firemen and police and emergency crews and all that stuff. So, and then the production was not very, production value-wise, it was almost like a slideshow. So I thought that commercial for Verizon, who was basically all over the Super Bowl sponsorship, I wasn't that impressed. I thought it was like, it's like, okay, they had to add a commercial there and then they just added it, and it's like, are we doing 5G? Because T-Mobile had a 5G commercial. And that was much more saying, okay, we are the first T-Mobile, the first 5G provider and the map, and this is how much better it's going to be. I mean, 5G is a huge thing for everybody now. And Verizon had the 5G, but it was mixed with
the problem is
community and emergency crews and all that stuff.
5G is very broad of a term, and because T-Mobile has 5G, but it's a different band of 5G than Verizon. And the reason Verizon's isn't nationwide yet is because Verizon is the what I would call true 5G, which is like when we talk about gigabit speeds on your phone, that's the Verizon one. Now, there's a lot of problems. I'm not going to get into all the problems with it right now as far as like distance. Like if you have a pole right behind this wall, it might not go through the wall.
Right.
Stuff like that. But Verizon is trying to create the true like gigabit 5G. T-Mobile has a different band, so it's faster than 4G, but it is not
that's why
like super fast.
And that's
5G.
where their commercial was like, I can hear you. Like, you know, they had this like, I'm in the theater and all that stuff.
I thought it was memorable, and it was a good message of like, oh, our 5G works everywhere nationwide. Is it complete truth in advertising in that, oh, but it's not like the 5G that you think it is, but it's technically 5G. Okay. Well,
and I think a lot of people.
I don't think most people know the difference.
Right, know the difference.
Right.
And, oh, well, T-Mobile has already 5G, and you can hear it in the theaters and this. And the mother calling, what's his name? The actor.
Anthony. What's his name? Anthony.
Yeah. Anyways,
something.
the guy, the lead actor from Blackish. Anyways, it was kind of cute, the conversation, and his mom kept calling him, but
Anderson.
Yeah. That's one of the ones that I didn't like. There were some others that people did like. I didn't like so much, like the Olay. For the women, or make space for women.
The only part I didn't like about that one was they had Lily Singh, who's a YouTuber.
Yeah.
I can't stand her. She's the fakest, I can't stand her. They gave her a late night show. It totally flopped. Did you see that? They gave her a late night show after, who was it after? I forget which network it was, but it was just terrible. And I don't know. I don't want to trash on anybody, but, yeah,
but I did like that they had the real astronaut for one.
That was fine.
Nicole Stott. But I thought it was okay.
The one I didn't like, speaking of like empowering women, that I thought was just really cheesy was that it was really early. It was the secret deodorant.
Yeah.
Where they had the girl kick the field goal. And it was obviously a girl. I could tell and then she pulls off her helmet. Oh my God, she's a girl.
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit.
I thought it was really cheesy. I was like,
yeah,
okay.
I think that was a little bit like the typical spectator reaction, like, oh, and then it's good, and then everybody applauds and everything.
This is a personal pet peeve. I hate when they have commercials, but it's like the most generic, like uniforms and scoreboard, because they don't want to pay the licensing for the actual teams. Yeah. So they just do that. I think that's like the cheesiest thing.
But, I mean, it was okay. It was what was the name of the title of the commercial? It was for Secret.
Kick
for the
inequality,
the Secret.
I think.
Yeah, that was the slogan. But the other one talking about space that I thought, I don't know if you remember that one, but the SodaStream one.
Which one was that?
Pretty good. I don't know if you saw it because it came, I think, right after.
I was cooking, so I stepped out for a minute.
For
probably 10 minutes during the Super Bowl.
I forgot.
So
David was in charge of the burgers last night, so he was cooking. But I know it was it was funny because they go to Mars, and it's another space commercial. They go to Mars and they find water on Mars, and then they bring the water. This guy grabs the water. And they say that's Mars water, and he thinks that it's Mark's water, and so he takes the water and makes SodaStream, like uses the SodaStream machine, makes his own soda with the water from Mars. And
Very clever.
So it was fun, and like we finally find water on Mars, and it's like, oh, this is great, and then they say this is Mars water, and he thought it was Mark's water, like he's with the SodaStream machine and makes his soda. I thought that was pretty funny. I don't know. Actually, SodaStream is a company.
I can't believe they did another ad because they did one a few years ago.
I know.
And their stock has been taken.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That I didn't even know SodaStream was still alive, basically, because they
have so many competitors now.
Yeah, I know.
And I think a lot of people are not into soda anymore.
I know. Well, they tried to make like a healthier soda, so you don't buy a Coke with all the sugar. You can make your own. But then Coke came with the Coke Zero, and then Pepsi. That's another commercial that we had yesterday. Came with their own Pepsi Zero or something. So I don't know, but I thought that was kind of the script or the idea was original with the Mars water SodaStream. So
let me ask you before I forget, the political ads we mentioned in the last podcast, there were two. There was Trump and Bloomberg.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
I
objective thoughts?
I think you can pretty much expect those. I think it's no
one.
different. I mean, those ads were not anything special that you wouldn't see at normally primetime TV saying, "Oh, I did this for the economy. I had this dream about Donald Trump and I approved this message," or Mike Bloomberg.
I thought the first one that Trump did objectively was kind of, how do I say it? Good in the sense that he threw people for a curveball a little bit because it was about a black woman that he pardoned from jail.
Right.
And obviously he has a strong, I don't know how you want to say it, like reputation with a lot of people for being all types of words. But I thought it was an interesting, objectively, when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's a decent curveball that people probably wouldn't expect.
Right.
I didn't actually get to see the Bloomberg one. It must have happened when
it was about gun control.
Away.
It was just another. Yeah, I think it was in the second half. I think it appeared in the third quarter, if I remember. But
I think
again,
the problem with those ads,
I think we discussed on Friday the fact that the two richest guys are basically the ones who can afford commercial time. When every other Democrat was busy, with the caucus in Iowa last weekend, or still now. But Bloomberg, who's running his own campaign.
Well, he's not even in Iowa.
Right, exactly. So he's doing his own campaign. He decided to put the ad in the middle of a Super Bowl, so it's fine. I don't want to get into those. I mean, as far as originality or anything, it's just
there was nothing very original.
I don't think the ad was anything special. It was just that he was in the Super Bowl, but. Other than that, it's just like they all kind of highlight.
I think the problem with those ads is that a lot of people have already made their decision. So you can have the best ad in the world, but they still probably don't like you.
All political campaigns are not for people. Are for the people that are undecided. So that's what it is. Like maybe there's a family that says, "Oh, look, Trump is good for maybe black people." Whatever.
Yeah, maybe.
So all the commercials for all campaign people are trying to convince the undecided.
Yeah.
Because if you're a hardcore Republican, it doesn't matter. If you're a hardcore Democrat, you're gonna have to make a choice.
I thought the Bloomberg was more interesting because obviously, like you said, like the Republicans, okay, they're just gonna vote for Trump, but Bloomberg is obviously fighting with a bunch of Democrats. Do you think that commercial will have any sway, getting more Democratic voters to vote for him in the primaries?
I think that will come depending on who the candidate is for the Democrats. Because
no, but I mean against other Democrats, because obviously he needs to get the nomination before he can compete with Trump.
Right.
Do you think that'll have any sway?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't understand I mean, Bloomberg is doing his own campaign with all his millions, and obviously he's not taking any donor money, which is hurting him because that's one of the requisites to go into a debate. So he's never even being seen on the debate. So he's compensating that with his own multi-million advertising campaign, where everybody else is trying to collect donations and get more revenue. So I don't know. It's a little strange. I've seen independents running before, but a Democrat running independently from the Democratic Party, and a guy that also used to be Republican, all the stuff. It's just I don't know. I don't know how this is gonna shape out. I don't want to get into politics anymore.
No, I know. Just from the marketing. But anyways, we'll move on.
So moving on, the Walmart commercial. Well, first of all, the Tide. That was kind of repeated.
Oh yeah, I wanted to mention that one.
Yeah, I was tired of those things.
Were you?
To be honest, I
thought this year was interesting because there were many ads where it was like a cross-brand promotion. So like that was an example. Tide and I guess Bud Light kind of teamed up and did some ads together. But it was interesting that you saw many brands kind of team up and do ads together. Maybe they're saving money. I don't know. We're gonna talk about the P&G in a second.
P&G, yeah, that was fine. That was saving money for sure. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's just that it was kind of repeating throughout, and then at the end, it's like maybe it's because I didn't think the first one was so funny, and then I said, "Oh no, another one, and another one, another one." It's like Stains, or now Stains can wait, or something. Was the
Yeah, it was basically saying like, I guess our stuff is really good, so even if you stain it right now, you can wait a few hours and wash
that
it.
You don't have to
remove
the stain right away or something.
Right.
But it's still, it's like, okay, I had it. It's a commercial for Tide, Anyways, but speaking of brands
P&G?
pitching together, P&G was kind of funny.
I was making a joke yesterday to you when I saw it.
Multi-billion-dollar company, one of the largest, consumer brands. in the U.S., if not the largest. And then and they have multiple brands themselves. And then they just they had the thing like Together. What was that? Together We Win or something.
Yeah, Together. I forget exactly, but it was funny because I was like, maybe P&G said, all right, for our $6 million slot, how many different brands can we put in there? Okay, Charmin, Mr. Clean, just throw as many as we can in there.
And they made
Brawny.
their own. It kind of was this similar to the Walmart commercial where they have all the the different vehicles. I mean, we've seen some versions of shorter versions of the commercial before in even the Super Bowl. No, sorry, in football playoffs. At least I've seen some of those, but they had the extended version with all these spaceships and different Marvel people coming. So that was kind of adding multiple franchises, if you will. And then P&G came with their own multi-brand commercial for all the individual brands. So I thought it was okay. I mean, P&G is one of those that, okay, we're going to be there, but instead of having one commercial for each brand, we're going to have one for all.
Well, they did have separate commercials. Like Olay is P&G, so they had their own commercial for that. But no, I thought that was funny.
Another one that you liked that I wasn't that impressed was the Pringles.
Which one?
The
Rick and Morty?
Rick and Morty.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't like that.
You didn't like that one? Oh, I thought you did.
It was okay. I mean, if you're gonna use Rick and Morty, do something clever with it. It's a show that's clever.
Okay.
Do something clever. I didn't think they did anything clever with it.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of like it took me a while, and then it's like, okay.
And obviously there's a lot of Rick and Morty fans. I don't know how many people, watching the Super Bowl know Rick and Morty that are not fans that would get it. But it was fine. It was like we joked that some of these were like very cheap production, like they were trying to save money on the production. That one was probably not a very expensive commercial. It was okay. I just thought if you're gonna use these characters from this show that's known for being clever, do something clever. Don't just.
Another one that I thought it was kind of disappointing was the Hard Rock with.
Yeah,
Jennifer Lopez. I mean, they almost made like a mix of like a Mission Impossible movie, James Bond type thing, and obviously Jennifer Lopez was there, who was acting. Obviously, I think that was before the halftime or after.
Yeah, it was before.
It was before, right? And I'm thinking, why do they have to have that commercial there? So I thought it was, first of all, it was kind of bad acting.
Yeah, I was going to say.
A-Rod,
I'm not expecting these guys to be like top level actors, but I felt like they did everything in one take. Like, come on, guys, we couldn't get a better take than that.
And then A-Rod shows up and J-Lo and all that stuff.
DJ Khaled at the end.
Yeah, where he takes his mask off and it's like, why? I mean, it's like you're diluting your image by having this kind of. I don't know if the commercial will continue to air after the Super Bowl, but I thought it was kind of like, what is this? Like I was like not that impressed. So TurboTax was all over the place with everybody's tax people or something.
As they normally are at this time of year. It was fine. I didn't love it. I thought some of them were kind of annoying, honestly.
Yeah.
But they got their message across.
Then, like I mentioned before, Pepsi came up with their own Pepsi Zero compared of Coke Zero. I think it was just okay. Nothing special for me. You have also Genesis, the car.
Yeah, I thought that was okay.
Yeah, it was just it was nothing special. Now we're getting now into the Sabra one is the one that was one of the first time advertises a new brand with hummus.
Yeah.
And that was done by VaynerMedia, a company that we follow very thoroughly. But I was kind of disappointed. Actually, I didn't like any of the VaynerMedia commercials. They
did the Mr. Peanut. That was the best one. I did. I thought that one was very good.
Yeah, and then the other one, this one was just okay. What was the other one they did? Oh,
the Hard Rock.
The Hard Rock too. So, anything else as far as commercials? I'm going through all of them. I did like the Doritos one. You didn't have that one as one of your favorites, but I thought it was kind of funny.
Which specific Doritos one?
The Sam Elliott when
with Lil Nas X
with the duel. Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny.
It was fine.
It was. I thought it was.
I thought this year there were just a lot of kind of fine, basically, where it's like, okay, it's not a bad commercial, but it wasn't anything that like blew me away.
Even the guys with the star factor. Like Jimmy Fallon was in another commercial.
Yeah, I did not like that.
I did not like that one either.
Cheesy.
I think it was just not. So overall, if we kind of wrap up this podcast, I think we got to a point where the commercials are a little bit overhyped right now.
I think I think the main message is the ones that succeeded the most are the ones who were able to blend the commercial with some type of social element. The Baby Nut, the Groundhog Day, the Hulu ad, those all had social buzz around them. It wasn't just the commercial. And that's the ultimate win. Because when you can get 100,000 people on Twitter or wherever talking about you, that's the win.
But the other thing is that you always remember when I was back in studying film and video and all that stuff, people say, some critics think some movies are good or something, but not all critics agree on all movies, but all critics agree when there's a really good movie, Right. With the commercials, it's the same thing. Like this morning, just before the podcast, I was looking quickly to some of the commercial reviews that, big magazines like Ad Age and all that stuff have done. And I was looking at that and thinking, even when you look at these sources, they don't all agree on which ones are the best, which tells you that there's not really a clear best. Like sometimes you have a movie that's like, okay, this is a clear winner. Yeah. Like you and I went to watch, or you watched Parasite. I haven't seen that one yet, and we're talking about Oscars and all that stuff. And 1917, I mean, everybody knows those are great movies, and pretty much all critics agree on that. But when it comes to commercials, even the expert ad agencies, they don't agree on which one was the best or which ones were the better ones from last night.
I think
that tells you that there's a lot of mix across.
Yeah, because the difference between a movie and a commercial is obviously the movie is just trying to be a great movie, but a commercial is not just trying to be good and entertaining, but also memorable and get some brand or product message across.
Right.
Doing all of those things in 30 seconds or 60 seconds takes a lot of skill. It's not that easy to do. That's why I thought that Hulu was probably one of the better ones because they got a ton of social buzz. As soon as you saw Tom Brady on the screen, it was like, oh, wait, is this that?
That's the one.
And it was like everybody stared at the screen. And then he goes, Hulu has live sports. And it's
I've read
boom.
So many stories, obviously. Again, it was the week after the Kobe Bryant thing and all that stuff, and they were saying, "Oh, that was a tribute to Kobe Bryant." And this is big, top leading national sportscaster saying, well, if it was for Kobe Bryant, he would have said something about forever Kobe, something like that,
Yeah.
And then said, no, maybe it's like a cryptic messages and walking out, and leaving.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Not what I thought. Nobody even thought it was anything related to a commercial.
Right.
And then he kept mute. I mean, he didn't say a word until yesterday when the commercial
I don't know who
up.
made the Hulu ad, what agency was in charge of that, but
obviously,
bravo.
Right, but it's Tom Brady, so everybody's kind of wondering if he's going to retire or stay or whatever. So that was part of the big
whoever was the creative director that had the idea for, hey, let's have Tom Brady post some cryptic thing and have everybody on the edge of their seat. Bravo. You win.
But the thing is, we said the good commercials are the ones that the morning after or the day after you remember. Not just the commercial, but also the brand for which the commercial was.
That's why the only one that I asked you before the podcast was the Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
Because we both liked that one. But then I was like, who's that a commercial for? And it took me a few minutes of thinking. I was like, oh, Rocket Mortgage. That's right.
Right.
So even though it was good and memorable, it was like, it wasn't necessarily attached to the brand enough to where it was like, oh, this was a Rocket Mortgage ad.
Right.
Right.
And that's why I like the one for Amazon because they actually mention the name so many times throughout the ad. Like all the people.
The product is the centerpiece of the commercial.
Alexa this, Alexa that, all that stuff. So, all right, well, that wraps it up for us. This is something that we had to kind of put together real quick. It's Monday morning. You can see the phone ringing, my phone. Pretty busy day. It's 10 o'clock now. We just started another week and another month for us. Hope you enjoyed it. Anything else? I don't know if we're going to do another podcast this week, our regular Thursday podcast. We'll see how the week goes. We have a lot of things going on, but if not, we'll definitely have all the show notes, and we'll probably put links to all these commercials. They're already obviously on YouTube on multiple sources, so you can review them and, giving your own ratings. But hopefully, we're not too far off the mark on our own. And that's it for today. David, any additions from you?
No, that's it. Let us know in the comments which ones are your favorites. Which ones did you hate? Because we didn't get into ones we hate that much. I didn't honestly hate very many.
Well, you hate to hate something that people put so much effort into it, but it's just some of them that is like, okay, we wasted $8 million or whatever. That's
one
bad.
final note. We put the over/under at 5.5 of how many social messaging commercials will there be.
Yeah.
And it was way over. I don't know. There's probably at least 10, 11, 12-ish. I was keeping count, and then I lost count after like 9. I said, okay, we're way over.
All right. Well, that's it for today. Just remember, you like this, share it with your friends. Also, you can subscribe to our podcast and video on YouTube on our YouTube channel, MGR Agency. We'll publish all the show notes and everything, and this one will be up in a couple of days. Hopefully, you'll give us your feedback. Until the next time, this is Manuel and David from MGR. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.